Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support.
All right, so guess what? The sky's still falling. The business is still ending. The industry is over. And if you're selling, you see that little area in Sunfire? They're not going to pay you. It's all made up. You're going to type in your name and your NPN, but guess what? WellCare's getting paid, not you. I'm sorry. Welcome back. That's not actually the truth, but maybe you'll click on it and think that it is. We are talking about AEP so far today, and what we're going to talk about is where things stand. What is this, like week 2 or 3 into the process? And then
depends on how you count.
Yeah, single product or single form of distribution dependent in an era that is far different than many of us started in this industry. So, Nick, how is your AEP so far?
Personally, my AEP is the same as always. For my agency, my AEP is better than always. Like, we're doing we're probably going to do double what we did last year. And last year was pretty good. I'm not worried that they're going to not pay me. I don't know. This seems to be a real genuine concern amongst a certain segment of the population that genuinely believes that that commissions aren't going to get paid, and that's not a thing that I'm worried about. Are you worried about commissions not getting paid?
No, I'm not. There's far bigger things to worry about in the world, really.
Like, we are 10 actual days as of when we're recording. We are 10 actual days into AEP. If you say that nobody's reasonably selling 7 days a week because you burn out, so then maybe we're 8 or 9 selling days into AEP, and it's still early enough in the day so that maybe only 8.5, maybe only 8.5 selling days into AEP, and things are looking good. Carriers are doing what carriers do. I think if you've been paying attention, nothing that is happening right now is a total surprise to you. Nobody should have been caught flat-footed unless they're brand new to this. If you are brand new to this, congratulations. This is like the best time you could have possibly jumped into selling Medicare. Holy cow. It is, I have never seen a population of prospects who were more ready, willing, and eager to talk about their Medicare than they are this year. Now, there's some downsides that come to that if you've got a large book of business already and you didn't do the groundwork to, make sure that your large book of business was happy, which is some people. Or if you have a large book of business that is all with just one carrier who is doing things like terminating a whole bunch of plans at the end of the year and not crosswalking those people into any other plan, or if you had a large prescription drug coverage book of business with one particular carrier that was offering a 0 premium plan that everybody in the world knew was an insane plan, and has now been made not only non-commissionable going forward, but they've terminated contracts. So you're not.
They knew from the beginning they were up to something. Come on, I feel like this business agents are so here focused. They don't think a little bit further into the future. Even if that didn't happen, you really think it was going to stay that way for another year? Come on. I mean,
I was not, and I'm not going to pretend I was anticipating that they were going to terminate everybody in Yankee renewals.
No, but
and I don't think anybody was, but I think everybody knew something was up with that plan. Everybody knew something was up with that plan.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Sometimes it's like in Final Expense, you find a product that's dirt cheap, easy to sell, and an extremely liberal. At this point of the game, we know that's not going to last forever.
No.
Either write it while you can. That's your legal right as an insurance agent to do. And the insurance company is going to eventually figure out they came off way too easy and either adjust accordingly. And I think that we forget that these carriers do have a certain amount of production that they want and a certain amount that they don't want or legally can't take. There's too much. Stop.
Yeah.
So they do think far further ahead than we do, is what I'm trying to say. Months and quarters and years ahead. And we need to do a better job of thinking ahead ourselves.
I could not possibly agree more. If you are an agent, this is your real job, right? Like, okay, prospecting is your real job, I guess. But like you're not making any money if you're not talking to people. So you got to talk to people, you got to prospect, you got to have people to talk to. But in order to be prepared for those people, you have to be able to look into the future, and you have to be able to make reasonably educated guesses as to what's going to be coming down the road. And it's not impossible to do. And it's not like this is a Medicare Advantage thing, right? Like this goes on with Medicare supplement plans too.
It's like a business thing. Like, you gotta have a little bit of a forecast and a perspective and a not fly by the seat of your pants reality to it once you've gotten through the first 12 months.
Absolutely. And so I don't know what the demographics on this show are. I don't know if it's mostly new agents or if it's a lot of senior people, seasoned people. But if like Chris said, if this isn't your first 12 months, if you're not brand new to this, like, knowing the state of the industry on the ground is really, really important. Like, knowing that, hey, there's a company that's offering a zero premium plan that actually has like a really huge wide open formulary that takes a whole bunch of stuff tier 1 and tier 2 without a deductible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not economically feasible. Something is going to happen with that. Be careful with that plan. Right? And hey, do the right thing by your client, get them into the right plan.
Yeah, but keep that in mind.
But keep it in mind. You should know this.
Well, let me tell you a little side story, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because this is kind of ground level, $2,000 cap kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
I had a client just literally down the street, not technically a client yet. He was in a PDP only, so it's a tough area. Very, very few good Medicare Advantage plans. He's past the point of getting a sub at this point, really. He's on a medication that I feel like it was one of those, it's not an inhaler, it's not an insulin, it's one of those, not for cancer medicine, anti-inflammatory, really expensive medication. I forget the name. And it was covered under extra help. So he didn't really pay a whole lot of money for it. But he lost his extra help because his mom died, he sold his house. Now he's got money. Does not qualify for extra help. This medication is not on formulary for a majority of the plans because I imagine it's the $2,000 cap. If they put it on formulary, they're going to have to get capped out at some point and have to cover it for free. Right. So I went through the list, not on formulary, NF, 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 NF. The two plans that I found it on were tier 5. So he's going to pay basically $2,000 in the first 1 to 4 months of the plan, but then get this crap for free the rest of the year. Of course, the unintended consequences of the $2,000 cap. But have you seen these kind of scenarios yet where formularies were radically shifted to adjust for this scenario?
Yeah, stuff like that is definitely happening. And I expect it to continue to happen more. I feel like even with as much forewarning as the companies had, I don't know that they adjusted as much as they needed to. I would anticipate that there is going to be an additional market correction for 2026. Realistically,
practically speaking, there's supposed to be more capped medications that were significantly more expensive before.
Yeah.
So it's not getting easier.
No. So I expect more market correction for 2026. The value of you as an agent is going to continue to go up, especially with your ability to handle medications. Now, I remember when I was brand new hearing a podcast interview with somebody like 2013 or so, where it was a Medicare sales podcast, and the person opened up the podcast with like, hey, I always tell everybody, friends don't let friends sell prescription drug plans. And there is a part of me that is kind of like, maybe that was legit advice. Because because even in 2013, like the prescription drug plan stuff is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. But then again, right, like at one point CMS was going to be raising our commission on prescription drug plans dramatically. And that got clawed back almost instantaneously.
And I hear these Medicare agents talking, and I know most of it's just talk, but it makes it sound like they spend hours of their life studying formularies on single client scenarios over something that might pay them $50 in the year. I don't, am I misreading that? Or are there really people huddled in their basement doing this?
No, I think there are. I think a lot of people have problems handling large amounts of data and being able to chunk it up into bits and pieces that make things pattern identifiable. I mean, this is the whole reason why, like not necessarily to plug Toolkit, right? But I'm not involved in Toolkit, but Chris is one of the owners of Toolkit, in full disclosure. And on the final expense side, the reason why Toolkit is so popular is because people are unable to do the simple pattern recognition, like of how underwriting works. And so they need something like Toolkit. You have stuff like Sunfire, but Sunfire is not always 100% accurate. You've got stuff Medicare.gov, which is not always 100% accurate. It's not always up to the minute updated. It shouldn't be this big a deal. Like, you should be able to say
prioritization. Is it that a lot of Medicare agents have this they don't have anything but a charity mindset because they've been working soup kitchens and getting referrals? They don't really understand, like, this is not a profitable activity for me to be knee deep in 45 minutes into a PDP discussion. Like, what else can I do to round out their benefits and make some money?
So there's a push-pull, right? There's the push of, hey, this isn't life sales. This is not wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. There is a service work aspect that is built into this. And part of the reason why this business is profitable and long-term lucrative is much like P&C. There's an expectation of service work that's going to be happening. And so there is the expectation that you get paid an ongoing commission. And so there is an element where the people that get into Medicare and really like and enjoy Medicare, I think tend to be wired a little bit differently than the people that get into life insurance and really like and enjoy life insurance, right? Like, especially on the final expense side. Like, I really like final expense agents because I know that I'm wired a little bit wrong, and I feel like final expense agents are all wired a little bit wrong the same way that I am. And Medicare agents aren't, right? For the most part, people who are like super duper Medicare agents are not built like me. And they are more service oriented. They are more job oriented. And that's not a bad thing, right? And you can make a lot of money and build a really large agency based on just that. And becoming very referable and developing deep grassroots and, buckling down and doing the hard work of saving somebody $10 with one plan over another plan. But I will tell you, and I teach my agents this, like, and I'll probably get some crap for it in the comments, maybe. But to me, if somebody is paying $600 a month in annual costs for their prescription drug plans, and if somebody's paying $1,000 a month in annual cost for their prescriptions, they're paying the same amount of money. That's not a big enough difference to be reasonable to care about. There are so many other things that will actually affect these people's day-to-day lives that $20 a month is not really that big a deal. $30 a month on their prescription costs. Like, if you really break it down, is that really that big a deal? And especially if you're getting down to, like, one company is charging $600 and the other company is charging $620 a year for your medications, right?
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about less than a $2 a month difference.
Well, let's talk a little bit bigger, because I think for those that decide to spend 3 minutes watching of the 30 minutes that we recorded. The difficulty is that we talked about this before plenty of times, like entering more of a business perspective of it. I think this industry, especially on the life side, does agents so wrong because all they're looking to do is continue to churn through the 93%, 92% that are going to fail. Let's find 8% more. Hire 100, we're going to get 8 to stick. And 6 are going to go off and find better contracts. Hire 100, 8 stick, 6 move on. And because the life side is so churn heavy and 4 of the 100 survive, they don't bother to teach anything about what. And I think if somebody would have said to me right around year 1.5, you got to be ready to hire people to staff this thing in 6 months, it would have changed the entire trajectory of things. Yeah. But this business, even on the Medicare side, because maybe I have a slightly different upbringing into the Medicare side, it doesn't teach like scaling or really at all.
No,
I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off course with this. Like,
no, for the most part, no. Right? Exit strategy, like business exit, like if you knowing how you are going to exit your business is an important thing. Whether you die or pass it on to somebody else or sell it, like at some point you are going to not be doing this for a living anymore. You're, maybe because you've died, but at some point something is going to happen to your business, and having some sort of succession plan in place for your business, some sort of exit strategy for your business is actually maybe important. And that never gets talked about. The other thing that doesn't get talked about. Yeah. No, go.
Asked me or had an hour-long conversation with me, and it turned into, if you had 20 or 30 grand, would you be interested in buying equity in one of my other agencies? I'm like, well, this is never taught or conversed for you ever. Like, that's actually a thing you can do, is buy equity in somebody else's agency and help them get to scale. All that people think about for the longest time is, oh, I want to release. I want to go with him. I want to go with him. I want to go with there. I want to leave this. I want to go there. It's just like there's so much more to it that I don't feel like is ever really uncapped and shared.
No, and because it's a recruiting problem, right? The way people, because nobody comes into the insurance industry like thinking that they want to be in insurance. Right. And it is not a coincidence that the people who are currently at the highest levels of the insurance industry are mostly people who had parents or grandparents who were also in the insurance industry. Mostly, not all, but largely. Right. Like, it's not a coincidence, because those are the people who actually grew up with insurance as a business and not as a get rich quick scheme. Sorry,
or it took a generation to
get around my house.
Yeah. So, or it really did take a generation to get it to the point where it could transact. Like,
sometimes, sometimes. But like it's not. But the people that get recruited in to sell insurance are being recruited in on the dream, on not the hard work of building a business, not the hard work of building a book of business, not the hard work of creating a client base. They're being brought in and sold, hey, if you can, afford to buy leads and spend $1,000 a week on leads and turn around and turn those leads into $3,000 of production, and do that for long enough that your friends can see you making a couple $1,000s a week every week, and then you can hire your friends to work for you. And then every time your friend sells a policy, well, then you make a couple $100s off of that. And then they're going to do the same thing. And every time one of their friends sells a policy, you're going to make a couple $100s off of that. And then pretty soon you're running an empire, and you've got, 50 agents that are contracted under you, and you don't have to do anything anymore. And all you have to do is sit back and collect your passive income. And passive income, man, anytime I hear somebody say passive income, I'm like,
passive income. What the hell
you
is
got
that?
sold a goddamn bill of goods.
There isn't anything passive taking place right now. This is all an active pursuit. Passive? What is passive?
I do really well. And I sell less now than I've ever sold before. And that is absolutely true. I am busier than I have ever been in my life.
Yeah.
10 days into the selling season for AEP, and I don't know that I've gotten even an hour off. My days are starting at 7 a.m. and I am working until like 10 or 11 p.m. And it's not all working with my clientele in my book of business. There's just a lot going on that is opposite of passive income.
Well, I'd like to take a side note in our final 10 minutes, because I don't know if this has much to do with Medicare, but it has a lot to do with the business itself. And I don't know if you heard, and I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but Senior Life terminated David Price and Louis Burns,
No.
2 major legs of their distribution.
Oh, no, I had not heard that. Holy cow.
Yeah. And I've never met either of them, but they both seem like pretty interesting characters and pretty solid business people. And then Adam Hale did a video with the guy that runs Golden Memorial, probably a really smart business person, generationally successful.
Yeah.
And they were trashing Senior Life over the situation, but it seemed mildly hypocritical that Lincoln Heritage had terminated their biggest point of distribution in Eastern PA years ago for whatever the reasoning was. And when you put all your eggs in one captive basket, you could fall victim to this on what other color shirt you're wearing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And absolutely. I mean, Louis seems like a pretty honest and interesting guy. And I've watched his content since one of the first insurance videos that you could find on YouTube. And to have dedicated years of his life and sales and effort and emotion into that, whatever happened has to be, pretty earth-shattering. David Price was not in the business before Senior Life, to the best of my knowledge, and will do fine outside of Senior Life. But they're not going to get a penny from Ron Powell after that.
No. Whoa. Yeah, no. I mean, they're both going to be just fine. They're going to land on it. Wow. When did this?
Yeah.
Why?
Very recently.
It's crazy.
I mean, during AEP, that's why you didn't know about this, but
yeah, right. Yeah, like my head's been in the sand, but like, oh my gosh. Well, like live unfiltered reaction. Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, David Price on stage, made Cody Askins, God knows how much to be on stage with him. Right. The best looking side of Senior Life. And then Louis Burns, probably one of the most relatable guys from the South. Yeah.
My God, huge names.
But it also tails back into our end, where people were so WellCare dependent that they cried over the fact that they lost their PDPs. Like people that were so KSKJ dependent probably crapped themselves that December afternoon. Like you got to have a little bit of a diversification and confidence in your secondary product line, that when things go crooked, you're not really on your ass over it.
Legitimately, some of my best friends in the industry were very much in bed with KSKJ, and I know a handful of people that I can think of who are more or less got put out of business because KSKJ terminated.
But how does that happen? I mean, it's terrible. How are you that product dependent that you really didn't know what to do next?
I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't feel like, when my friend calls me up and he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't have any good options anymore. And I'm like, well, you've got this, this, and this, and this. And he's like, yeah, but I can't sell those, or I can't replace anybody with those. And I'm like, well, I mean, but you're still working in one of the 6 or 7 best final expense states in the country. You can definitely still make a go of it. But so many people just don't know how. So many people, they get into that rhythm of, and it's again, and I hate to say this because I hate when this accusation gets leveled at me, but it's having an employee mentality. It's having the mentality of, I work for this company. I work for WellCare. I work for KSKJ. I work for whoever.
I like this thing. I don't work for Transamerica. And Transamerica sent me this, and I like to wear it because they were nice enough to do that video with us, but I don't work for them. I hardly ever wear branded material from any particular carrier for that reason. But you can't be so dependent on any one thing in this business. And I think the problem, Nick, and I'm sure this will hurt someone's feelings, is that people become so lowest price dependent. With the lowest price is gone, then they're gone. It really doesn't matter. I had an agent recently that was worried about price. And I'm like, honestly, you got way bigger things to focus on than price. This is a next year conversation. Just sell shit.
Right.
And I explained to him, I said, to be ethically replaced in a home, you'll have to have written something a slightly above middle market. Let's just say you pick something on the higher tier price range for whatever reason, your discretion. Right. You wrote something that was $15 a month more than mid-pack, so be it. Another agent, that your client had to have filled out another lead or met with another agent for whatever reason within a 9-month period of time. Your client must not have had any changes in their health, must not have gotten any older. The general product availability must not have shifted. The next agent in the home had to have been better than you, able to get the policy, conduct a policy review, then ethically, like you are now 9 stages deep into a possible replacement scenario, and all 9 of them had to have happened before a piece of paper drops to the floor, the table, and they're presented a replacement option. It's so statistically unlikely.
And so this is where I start to have problems with stuff with quoters and stuff, because for new agents it screws you up, right? Like, and it happened to me too, right? It happened to me too. When I was a new agent, and I would be like, oh, I can't write X, they're so expensive, and somebody would say they're only like 5% more expensive than the lowest price company, and I was like, that can't possibly be right. When I go on the quoter, they're like all the way down at the bottom of the page. Well, you know what? I just opened up Toolkit. So for a 63-year-old looking for $10,000 male in my state, the lowest priced plan that a reasonable person could qualify for is $48 a month. There are a couple of plans that you have to be like fully underwritten healthy. And if you're fully underwritten healthy, it gets a little bit less expensive, but like even then you're only 44. But reasonable people with reasonable 65-year-old health, $48 a month. And before you get to $58 a month, which is where I would say it's dramatically more expensive, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 companies to choose from that are all essentially the same price.
Within $10.
That are all within $10 a month. Less than $10. Well, they're all within $9 a month, right? They're all between $48 and $57 a month for a $10,000 policy. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care, even if they are only making $700 a month, the difference between $48 and $57 a month is non-existent to the final expense client right now. Doesn't matter. And they are not going to change their plan. That if you did a good job, they are not going to change their plan from the $54 a month plan to the $51 a month plan. It's just not going to happen.
Unless someone like you and I could do it. Like you and I maneuver that into a scenario. But realistically,
no.
Even if you picked something that was $65 a month and then Mabel became a year older and now has an extra medication, somebody as good as someone watching this video is the only person that's going to have a crack at improving that. And then you're in a $5 range. Like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So
don't be afraid of being replaced, and don't be so single product dependent that on one, it has to be the cheapest all the time. I just don't buy it anymore.
No. Yeah. And there's just not that much difference in price. Well, you seem to be getting bugged to get off this call.
I think we've hit our max of the day. And I think those of you that have watched will do us a favor and comment about what you liked most about this video and what you guys would like us to talk about in the future. Thanks for watching.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.